Let's talk for a moment about the medical applications of marijuana. So, medical marijuana, which is often referred to as medical cannabis, is the use of the cannabis plant, or its cannabinoids, or its synthetic derivatives for therapeutic purposes. And this is going to be under the guidance of a healthcare professional. It also involves the use of cannabis or its components to alleviate symptoms or manage medical conditions or improve the overall health and well-being of patients. And medical marijuana is used to treat a wide range of conditions, including chronic pain, neurological disorders, cancer-related symptoms, mental health issues, and a couple more. So it's going to differ from recreational marijuana in that its use is specifically for medical purposes, and it's typically regulated and prescribed in accordance with local or national laws and other regulations. The use of cannabis for medicinal purposes has a long and diverse history that spans centuries and various cultures. So, we're going to go over a brief history of medical cannabis use through the ages. So, it started in the ancient cultures around 2737 BCE. Cannabis is still believed to have been used as a medicinal plant in ancient China. Emperor Shen Nung, his pharmacopoeia from around 2737 BCE, mentioned its therapeutic properties for conditions like gout and rheumatism. And then in ancient India, around 1000 BCE, cannabis was mentioned in the ancient Indian texts for its potential as a pain reliever or an anesthetic. And it played a role in the traditional medicine of the time. And then in ancient Egypt, circa 1550 BCE, archaeological evidence suggested that ancient Egyptians used cannabis as part of their medicinal and religious practices, and it was believed to have properties for alleviating eye problems and inflammation. Ancient Greek, around the 5th century BCE, the Greeks were using cannabis for various medical conditions, including pain management and as a remedy for earaches. And the physician, his name is hard to pronounce, Dioscorides, mentioned its medicinal properties in his work. And then around the 9th through the 13th centuries, Arabic scholars expanded on the medical uses of cannabis, including the treatment of migraines and other ailments. These ideas later influenced European medieval medicine. And then in the 19th century Europe, cannabis was part of the Western medicine with the tinctures and the preparations that were used to treat conditions like pain, nausea, and muscle spasms. And it was commonly available in pharmacies. And then in the 20th century, we had prohibition. So the early 20th century saw an increase in restrictions on cannabis use, and it culminated in a widespread prohibition in a lot of different countries, and medical use declined significantly during this time period. Then we move into the late 20th century and onward. There was this resurgence of interest in medical applications of cannabis, particularly for conditions like chemotherapy-induced nausea and chronic pain. And then California's approval of medicinal marijuana in 1996 marked a turning point, and numerous countries and the United States, the states, have since legalized medical cannabis. So today, medical cannabis is experiencing a renaissance with a growing body of scientific research that supports its therapeutic potential. And it's now legal for medicinal use in various parts of the world, with an increasing acceptance and an expanding range of conditions that can be treated with medical marijuana. And the recent revival of the interest in medical marijuana can be attributed to a convergence of factors. As more countries and the states began legalizing medical cannabis, scientific research into the potential health benefits of marijuana started to gain momentum. And this research has revealed the therapeutic potential of cannabis in alleviating symptoms of a very wide range of medical conditions, from chronic pain and epilepsy to anxiety and multiple sclerosis. And additionally, patients that seek alternative treatments for their ailments have turned to medical marijuana, often with notable success stories, which have further propelled its acceptance and its popularity. And as societal attitudes have shifted, the medical community's growing recognition of cannabis as a viable treatment option has contributed to its resurgence, making it a significant player in modern healthcare and medical research. And we know that cannabis contains a multitude of chemical compounds, which are known as cannabinoids, with two of the most well-known being THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol, or cannabidiol, which is CBD. And THC is primarily responsible for the psychoactive effects of the cannabis, and that's what leads to the high that often is associated with its use. While CBD is the non-psychoactive ingredient, and it has gained recognition for its potential therapeutic benefits. And we actually know that these two work against each other. And the higher the CBD content, the less high the person feels, because it actually reduces the effects that the THC has. So the more THC and the less CBD, the more quote unquote high the person is going to get. And so we know that there are over 120 other cannabinoids in the plants, and each has very distinct properties and potential health effects. And these compounds interact with the body's endocannabinoid system, and that contributes to this diverse range of effects that cannabis can have, from pain relief to anxiety reduction. And understanding the characteristics and the potential of the various cannabinoids is really essential for unlocking the therapeutic potential of this plant. The cannabinoids, like I said, interact with the endocannabinoid system, which I'll refer to as the ECS. It's a complex network of receptors and neurotransmitters in the human body. And we talk about this in another lesson, but just kind of an overview here. The interaction of the cannabinoids with the ECS produce various effects. So we have the endocannabinoids and the receptors. The ECS consists of the endocannabinoids, which are cannabinoids that are produced naturally in the body. We call them anandamides, or 2-AG, and there can be other ones that are still being studied. Our body produces these naturally. So those are our endocannabinoids. Endo means from within. And then we have cannabinoid receptors, primarily the CB1 and the CB2 receptors, and enzymes that synthesize and break down the endocannabinoids. So the CB1 receptors are primarily found in the brain and the central nervous system, while the CB2 receptors are prevalent in the immune system and the peripheral tissues. And then we have cannabis binding. So when the external cannabinoids like THC or CBD from the cannabis plant are introduced into the body, they bind to these cannabinoid receptors. And THC has a high affinity for the CB1 receptors. And that is what leads to its psychoactive effects. But CBD has more of a complex interaction, and it may modulate these receptors differently. And then we have neurotransmitter release. So cannabinoid binding affects the release of neurotransmitters in the brain, like dopamine, serotonin, stuff like that. So in the case of THC, it alters the release of various neurotransmitters, and that is going to result in an altered cognition and mood. CBD, on the other hand, may indirectly impact the neurotransmitter functioning without producing that high feeling. And then we talk about homeostasis and regulation. The ECS is definitely what plays a crucial role in maintaining the body's homeostasis, which is the body's internal balance. It's going to regulate functions like pain perception and immune response and mood and appetite. And when cannabinoids interact with the ECS, they can influence these functions and help restore the balance when there is a disruption. But when there's not, it disrupts the balance. So it's a very finicky thing to keep that thing in balance. And then we have modulation of inflammation and pain. We know that cannabinoids can modulate pain perception and inflammation through their influence on the ECS. So CBD, for instance, has anti-inflammatory properties that can really help to manage those chronic pain conditions. And then we have potential therapeutic applications here. The interaction between the cannabinoids and the ECS has led to people exploring cannabis-based treatments for various medical conditions. Like I said, chronic pain, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, and a lot more. And understanding this interaction is going to be crucial for the development of that targeted and effective cannabis-based therapy. And it's important to note here that the effects of the different cannabinoids can vary widely due to their specific interactions with the ECS. Additionally, individual responses to cannabinoids may differ, making it a really complex and evolving field of research and medicine. And we know that medical marijuana has shown promise in the treatment of those diverse range of medical conditions. In the realm of pain management, it's been utilized to alleviate that chronic pain, neuropathic pain, and the pain that's associated with conditions like arthritis or fibromyalgia. And so for the neurological disorders, medical marijuana has been beneficial in reducing the symptoms of epilepsy and multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's disease, and also offering relief from the seizures and the muscle spasms and the tremors. And in the realm of mental health, some patients have reported reduced anxiety or improved sleep and relief from conditions like PTSD and depression. Moreover, the medical marijuana is utilized in cancer care to mitigate the side effects of chemotherapy. And it offers relief from the nausea and the pain and the loss of appetite. And the wide-ranging therapeutic potential of medical marijuana is making it an increasingly important tool in the treatment of these various medical conditions. And current evidence-based research on cannabis is underscoring its evolving role in modern medicine. Clinical trials are increasingly exploring the therapeutic potential of the cannabinoids in various medical conditions. And these studies aim to provide a clearer understanding of cannabis's benefits. What are the optimal dosages? What are the potential risks? And fostering a more evidence-based approach to medical marijuana use, which we'll talk more about in another lesson. But the latest research reveals that cannabinoids can offer substantial relief for patients that are suffering with those conditions, with the potential to reduce the reliance on opioids, especially for those who are suffering with chronic pain. And then additionally, CBD has shown promise in treating epilepsy, particularly in cases that are resistant to other treatments. And while the research highlights the therapeutic potential, it also underscores the importance of responsible use, the potential side effects, and the need for quality control and standardized products. And as this scientific exploration is continuing, there's this growing excitement about the potential for the new treatments and the applications, such as addressing the neurodegenerative diseases, inflammatory disorders, and also psychiatric conditions. And it offers hope for improved healthcare solutions in the future. The legal landscape surrounding marijuana, including medical marijuana, is varying significantly from one country to another. In some nations, medical marijuana is fully legalized and regulated, and it allows for the cultivation, the distribution, and the use of cannabis for medical purposes. So some examples of these countries include Canada and some European nations. And others have adopted a more restrictive approach, allowing only specific cannabis-based pharmaceuticals or tightly controlled medical programs. In the United States, medical marijuana laws differ between the different states, and that creates this patchwork of regulations, with some of the states providing broad access while others just maintain stringent restrictions. The key distinctions in the legal frameworks are going to revolve around the aspects like patient eligibility, the qualifying medical conditions, and access mechanisms. Some countries, they have this comprehensive list of qualifying conditions, while others leave room for physician discretion. And then, opportunities for patient access also differ. And that's going to range from state-run dispensaries to private sector involvement in the distribution of medical cannabis. Additionally, there may be variations in THC and CBD content regulations, which can impact the effectiveness and the side effects of the available products. And accessing medical marijuana comes with both challenges and opportunities. While legalizing medical cannabis offers the potential for patients to find relief from those medical conditions. And there are hurdles to overcome. Challenges may include the cost of medical marijuana, or the restrictions on the cultivation, or the lack of insurance coverage, and the potential stigma that's associated with its use. But then on the other hand, medical marijuana provides opportunities for patients to explore alternative treatments, particularly when the conventional therapies have proven ineffective or they lead to intolerable side effects. And, as more countries and states are embracing medical cannabis, opportunities for medical research and patient education and product development are expanding, and that's offering the potential for continued growth and improvement in this field. So there's various websites and online communities where individuals share their real life experiences and their patients' stories related to medical marijuana. I highly recommend you go on there and listen to some of these stories. They're quite impressive. But some of the popular websites where you can find patient stories and testimonials are leafly.com. Leafly features a section where individuals share their experiences with different cannabis strains and products for various medical conditions. Theweedblog.com, this site includes a blog section where the patients share their personal stories of using medical marijuana to manage their health issues. Americans for Safe Access, which is safeaccessnow.org. This organization's website provides patient testimonials and stories that highlight the benefits of medical cannabis in managing various medical conditions. And then normal.org, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. That website has a section featuring personal stories and testimonials from patients who have benefited from medical marijuana. But please note that while these websites can provide valuable insights and personal anecdotes, it's going to be essential to consult with the healthcare professional and follow the local laws and regulations when considering medical marijuana as a treatment option. So the challenges and the controversies surrounding marijuana persist despite the growing acceptance and the use of the plant for its various purposes. So one of these enduring challenges is the public perception of marijuana. While attitudes are shifting, there are still lingering stigmas associated with cannabis use, particularly in some conservative or older demographics. Overcoming these entrenched perceptions and educating the public about the differences between recreational and medical use remains a challenge. It's going to be essential to destigmatize medical marijuana and promote a nuanced understanding of its potential benefits. The limitations and the obstacles in studying medical marijuana pose another significant challenge. Due to its classification as a Schedule I substance in a lot of countries, including the U.S., research into its therapeutic potential has been hindered. And this classification makes it challenging to secure research funding and obtain approval for clinical trials and access a consistent and standardized supply of cannabis for research purposes. And then as a result, the body of scientific evidence supporting the medical use of cannabis is remaining limited. And it creates uncertainty and challenges for both healthcare providers and for the patients. So ensuring the safety and the consistency of medical cannabis products is an ongoing concern. The lack of the standardized regulation and quality control measures can lead to variations in potency and composition of products that are available to the patients. And this lack of consistency can make it difficult for healthcare providers to prescribe specific cannabis formulations and also for the patients to know precisely what they're consuming. The risk of contamination or mislabeling can pose dangers to vulnerable patient populations. Regulatory efforts to establish quality control standards and enhance product safety are essential in mitigating these risks and challenges in the medical cannabis industry. And I'll talk more about that later in another lesson. But I kind of want to hit back on this for just a second. These vulnerable patient populations. Imagine someone who is experiencing extremely high anxiety and they're having suicidal ideations and they take a very high dose of THC. It may cause them to have psychosis at that point and possibly commit suicide. That is a very dangerous thing to play with. So we really need to get all on the same page with these formulations and make sure that we have some sort of regulation and labeling and product control. The potential for new discoveries and treatments in the realm of cannabis is the driving force behind its rapid integration into healthcare. And with this ongoing research and clinical trials, there's a growing excitement that's surrounding the development of these novel treatments and their applications. Cannabis-derived compounds like cannabinoids and terpenes hold the promise of targeting this broad spectrum of medical conditions from neurological disorders to pain management and even mental health issues, as researchers are delving deeper into the synergistic effects of the various cannabis compounds and their interactions with the endocannabinoid system. It's likely that new and more precise therapies are going to emerge. And these potential breakthroughs could revolutionize healthcare by providing patients with innovative and effective treatments, particularly for the conditions that have been challenging to manage with those traditional medicines. And medical marijuana is reshaping healthcare in really profound ways. It offers patients an alternative and often safer approaches to managing these conditions, especially those that are resistant or chronic, And so the growing recognition of cannabis as this legitimate medical option has really just spurred that development of the specific medical programs and the healthcare providers that are dedicated to cannabis-based treatments. And it encourages a patient-centered approach that allows individuals to have greater control over their treatment options and their outcomes. And as the role of medical marijuana in healthcare continues to expand, it does have that potential to foster a more holistic and individualized approach to medicine that takes into account patients' unique needs and their preferences. So in the future, it may become this integral part of healthcare globally, helping to address the wide range of medical conditions while promoting patient well-being and their quality of life. And the evolving landscape of medical marijuana represents this significant paradigm shift in healthcare, holding substantial potential for the future. And as more countries and states embrace medical cannabis, it stands poised to offer innovative solutions for managing these conditions. With the ongoing scientific research and the clinical trials, we're just unlocking the true therapeutic potential of cannabis-derived compounds. And this paradigm shift not only expands treatment options for the patient, but encourages that patient-centered approach. It's reshaping the healthcare by offering these alternatives, these safer treatments, and fostering that holistic, individualized approach. So I just want to thank you for your attention. If you have any questions or comments, please place them in the chat area below this lesson. Also, if you need to reach me, my phone number is 678-866-5826, and my email is desiree.cochran@gmail.com.